Hi everyone, so for this we're getting in touch with nature. We're working on the river part going through past the city. It's just over here on the edge of the map to the east of Yaysay. It's called the Wolfglen River because it runs through the Wolfglen woods further down to the south. So for this I'm going to be working on just mostly the nature aspects, so the rocks and the trees and the plants, the plant life, and you're going to see some animals as well, local wildlife. So this is going to be probably one of the shorter videos that I've done of these time lapses of Yaysay. This video was going to be a little bit bigger. I was going to actually work on the farmland, and then I got sidetracked and then started dedicating to that tangent that I got sidetracked on, being this river. I've also decided to just focus on the nature aspects. You'll see as the video progresses that there'll be some of the buildings did get laid out, but I thought it was best to just focus on the animals and natural side of the wilderness here. So in the future videos I'll be working on those other buildings. So the Wolfglen River, as I said, it runs through the Wolfglen woods, which is south of Yaysay, which is not in this map, it goes off the map. But the river still holds that same name. There's a variety of wildlife that lives around here, so there's various cranes and other water birds that live here, some swans. You can sort of see on the overhead there roughly where the outline of some of the other buildings will be. I'm just taking some of the trees from Hannah's honey farm over there to the other side, just to kind of keep the foliage kind of consistent around the wilderness here, around the countryside. I also shrunk those paddocks quite a lot to make things fit, because on this map of the game it wouldn't fit the farm housing, which is further to the south, and I wanted to fit that in later on, so I've shrunk those fields quite a bit. So here we have just some wetland foliage, some underwater plants. You don't really probably see it very clearly, but I do think it definitely adds to it. So when the camera's rolling just across it and you can see some of that water life underneath, it just really adds to it, I think. Makes it a bit more realistic instead of just being just blank brown dirt on the riverbed, which to me isn't very realistic. So some more various, it's supposed to be pigface, coastal pigface, which is a local plant we actually have where I am from. Growing out there, it's a succulent, beautiful flowers, got some reeds I'm now adding. So the idea is that this river has quite a rocky face on a lot of it, so there's a lot of rocks. And then in the areas where there is no rocks is where the ground is eroded away a little bit, where there's a bit of access to the river. Lots of grass, flowers, and things like that. So the larger animals around here would be, there'd be the odd deer, maybe wild boar, some foxes and things like that. But considering it is quite close to the city, there wouldn't be a whole heap. There's just the odd animal here and there that might just wander through. This area of the map is also controlled by the military of Yaysay. This is where the military barracks are, and they've got a bunch of royal stables and things like that. With it's not, there are some guards and guard-based city stuff here, but it's mostly military. Being a fantasy city, there's creatures here, so there's wyverns and drakes, which are kind of like small dragonish creatures that the city and military use. So you'll see them on a future video. But right now, I'm just adding to the river. So this is meant to simulate, these things I'm placing down to simulate fish. So that can allow some of the animals I placed to do some behaviours. That little thing I just placed there is to simulate them foraging through mud. Or we'll do that. So we've got some foxes. I ended up accidentally putting all the animals in there that I had in my little animal bank, so I grabbed a few that were not appropriate, like the cattle and some chickens that I didn't really want to see running around there. But these animals are okay. The cranes, there's an otter. So more water plants. Lilies I find are really pretty, so I put them on the water as well. Lots and lots of rocks. It can be pretty tedious adding all these rocks, but I really do think it adds to it in the final look of it. So yeah, there's actually not much different in this video. As I said, I haven't included the video of any of the buildings I started adding to during this session. I just stuck to the natural stuff. Keep it all on the one theme. Yeah, we just work along the river, adding rocks, adding plants. So basically with these plants, you'd have a lot of the grasses. The thicker grasses would be growing higher up on the banks where the ground is a bit more firm, less rocky. The reeds and stuff would be in the softer soil where the riverbank is, and it would start to come out. So you'll see with some of the reeds, I've got certain species actually growing in the water and some of them growing just off to the side of the water. So anyone who does their own map making, just a little bit of a realism tip for where the plants would grow. Some grasses do grow in the water, but there are certainly some species that prefer growing in water and others that don't like to be completely waterlogged. They work better on either a tide-based system where they can have some relief, or they like it completely dry or completely wet. So adding more rocks, lots and lots of rocks, and then I'll be adding later on like bits of grass that sort of grow in the cracks of those rocks. Yeah. So they're really thick. The green grasses you see with those kind of light tawny coloured fronds on the ends, they would be more for more solid ground. They tolerate wet roots, but they prefer it mostly solid. So adding some bushes and things just to kind of fill out the untameness of this area. So on the other side of the riverbank, which I'll do later on, there's a very small country estate sort of thing. There's a few residential houses over there. They're on larger properties than the ones that are right inside the city walls. So they have gardens and they have their own sort of thing. So just building the bridge, going out from the gate there. There's a few pauses there, I think, while I was trying to sort something out. So the bridge started off as 8 meters wide, and I think I ended up making it 4 meters wide. That's what you see here. That's a 4-meter bridge. I think it's still adequate to get, someone who drives a carriage across. So there'd be the odd tree here and there also growing. The city wouldn't really care if there was the odd tree growing out there. They'd just let it happen. So, yeah, so I hope you enjoy it. It's not as long as some of the other videos I've done, but I really like it. I think it turned out lovely and it's very beautiful.